This is Newmann Haas Indy Car featuring Nigel Mansell, or Nigel Mansell Indy Car, or some other weird combination on those titles, depending on whereabouts in the world you live. This is a pretty good racing game. I got this on the Super Nintendo. It's based on the IndyCar racing series, which is primarily held in the United States, although they do travel to some other places around the world. Probably a couple of other locations. This one apparently is Surfers Paradise, which I have got no idea where it is. I think is it in Australia? I don't know, no idea. But yeah, I quite like it. The first thing you notice, particularly in this race, is you're not going around one of the oval tracks. You are going around on what is supposed to be a street circuit. And yeah, it's pretty good fun. It's very, very difficult. Well, I found it difficult. The cars tend to vanish off into the distance. It doesn't help the fact that the control system's slightly weird as well. The traditional buttons on the SNES controller that you would think would be accelerate and brake are actually not. They're mapped to totally different buttons, and that sort of didn't make life particularly great from the start, as you saw there, where my car came to a grinding halt instead of flying off with the rest of the pack. Yeah, if you don't make it with the rest of the pack, as I found out in this race in particular, that tends to be it. You tend to be playing catch up. There's no, the cars don't deliberately slow down to allow you to catch up. You really do have to race after them, which can be quite frustrating. But yeah, here's actual me racing with the other cars, because on this particular circuit, which is a kind of an oval circuit, it's not a pure oval. I actually managed to remember what the right button combination was this time and get away with the rest of the cars, which was quite useful in giving you a bit of a demonstration of what it's like to race with the other vehicles on the track. It is very, very tough. I certainly found it very, very tough. It's a good game to play. As I say, once you get used to the bizarre control system, it is responsive, and as you can see, it does move at a fair old rate of knots, and it is enjoyable, albeit very, very difficult. There's a few different game modes. You get your usual sort of championship and your sort of one-off races and what have you. But it's done well. I like the graphic. I do like this graphical style, and I think this type of graphical style certainly suited the 16-bit consoles, certainly a lot more than when they tried to go down the polygon route, where they really did struggle. When you compare this to race driving, for example, on the Super Nintendo anyway, without the benefit of the special effects chip, it was just having a nightmare. Some people had posted in the comments section that was the reason why race driving was markedly slower looking than hard driving was on the Mega Drive, because the Mega Drive had a faster processor inside of it, or what the Super Nintendo relied on for its fancy graphics and stuff like that, was rendered null and void really when it came to shifting polygons around. And you can see now why Nintendo did develop the special effects chip, which really enabled them to shift polygons around. But it's kind of interesting to think that there were ways of remedying problems back then, because games were cartridge based. They could do some tricky footwork with the actual cartridge themselves in order to make up for the shortfalls in the actual machine hardware. You can't do that with modern day consoles. What the console is, that's it. You're stuck with that architecture until they bring a new console out. So it's kind of interesting to see that there were techniques that was available to developers back then to make the most out of a game. But anyway, this has been Nigel Mansell Indy Car, whatever the hell you want to call it, on the Super Nintendo. Thank you very much for watching this video, and stay tuned for more to come soon.